The last time we saw the Spanish team in the World Cup final was back in 2010 and in South Africa, in Africa. And we had great players there in that particular team. Talk about the likes of Busquets, talk about the midfield Marshal himself, Iniesta, and we'll not forget Xavi. And now, about 16 years later, Spain has qualified for the World Cup final in the World Cup holding in USA, Canada, and of course in Mexico. Welcome to the FIFA Roundup Show. My name is Richard Unwaji on Atlantic TV. On the show today, we'll talk about this first semi-final game we've had, and it was a very, very interesting game. Spain against France, the Spanish team going against the French team was the big talking point yesterday. Many people are still in the deep shock about what happened yesterday. Let's talk about the fact of what really happened, in that particular game yesterday. On the show today, we'll dissect the whole issues around that game. We'll talk about the tactics played by the two teams and talk about what we expected and what we did not get, or what we got. We'll also talk about what we'll be expecting from the final game, where Spain have already qualified for the finals, and also talk about the top place match, where France will play a top place match. Joining on the show would be, of course, our very own correspondent in Atlanta, USA, Pooja, and Wada Jr. will also join us from Abuja. So if you're ready, I'm ready for the FIFA World Cup Roundup Show. Welcome back, and let's go straight and talk about the semi-finals game. The last time we saw the Spanish team play in the finals of the World Cup was in 2010, but yesterday was another great time to talk about a team that no one expected them to come with that big, fire. And maybe we'll talk about the French team, talk about France, and the fact that France was looked as the better side. France were tipped to get to the finals, and France was seen by many football fans as the best team in the World Cup so far. But it didn't just go the way we expected, where we saw France lose that game by 2-0. The Spanish team doing the whole work, the midfield, the tic-tac football I always talk about from the 2010 sets. We saw the tic-tac football yesterday. Mbappe had no chance to play the ball, and Spain won by 2-0 against France and qualified for the final, the first time since after they qualified and won the World Cup in 2010 in South Africa. Now, the French team had all the stars, but Dembele, Doué, and call the names, they were nowhere to be found yesterday in that particular game, and a superior, what we call it, midfield. Now, if you followed the show yesterday, we spoke around the facts. I think Pooja mentioned that the game will be won from the midfield, and it happened that the midfield of the Spanish team stood out thanks to the likes of Dani Olmo, who was able to do all those dancing around and everything. But on the show today, I don't want to do the talking. I want to get my guest in. I want to get Pooja in. I want to get Wada Jr. in and let them talk about what they saw and how that game was won. I disappointed what Deschamps played out, what Deschamps did yesterday. Talk about his game plan, his tactics. Some criticizing the fact that N'Golo Kante would have needed that game to hold things down. But let's go straight to Atlanta first of all. Pooja, how are you doing this very interesting morning? Top of the morning to you.
I'm good. Good morning.
Now, interesting game yesterday. Just as we predicted around the fact that we were going to expect a very interesting game, and you spoke something very important. I said something very important yesterday around the fact that whoever would win the game will win the game from the midfield. Now, the midfield played a very, very crucial role yesterday. Olise, for example, was marked out of the game, and you spoke about Olise yesterday around the fact that, yes, this particular guy, he has to always play that attacking role, and when there is nobody to cover up for him within the midfield, he has a very slacky game. And yesterday it happened again. We saw Rodri, controlling that midfield and almost having the free flow of football. But for you, what really happened to that French team yesterday? Because different talking points. We could see the Spanish team do the tic-tac football, the Barcelona kind of play. Let me not talk too much. Pooja, what happened yesterday?
It was very glaring, like I mentioned yesterday. When they called the channels for France, Spain will win, and that's what happened. They called the channels for Mbappe, for the Doué, for Bakula, and they couldn't do anything because at the end of the day, Kone was benched for Tchouaméni. And I mentioned as well that this time have to make a very big decision in terms of starting Kone or reclaiming or recalling Tchouaméni, and he recalled Tchouaméni and he backfired. And then it was very straightforward for Spain because once they find a way to win that midfield, they're going to win France, and that's what they did. Rodri was on top of his game, doing the clearing and forwarding. Like I said, he's going to do, yesterday. And of course, Omo trying as much as possible to tame Olise and wants to do that in the middle of the park. And to many couldn't do anything. There was no transition play to Mbappe and of course to the likes of Dembele. And that was how he won. At the end of the day, too, like I said, the defense of France too was very solid. I said their defense and attack was very solid. But yesterday again, when Saliba got injured, it broke down the defense of France, and they were clueless and they didn't know what they want to do again. So everything that happened yesterday was analyzed, was mentioned yesterday on the show. And for Spain, that is their strength. Their strength is their midfield. Once they find a way to control that midfield, they and like I said, I said they will not use Pedri because Pedri do lot of turning and turning. And that's why they use Rui. Ruiz. Ruiz will always do the Fabregas way of playing. Very direct, very straightforward, and very decisive. It was very detailed yesterday as well, and it was very simple for them for Spain. So good luck to Spain. But for France, they messed up. I think this time is more experienced to know that Spain's strength from the days of the Iniesta, the Xavi, the Busquets is their midfield. How he failed to analyze that midfield yesterday, is a topic for another day.
And Wada Jr., talk about topic from that day, but it's a topic for you to address. Now, Didier Deschamps and not being able to understand that the fact that the Spanish beauty when it comes to their football lies in the middle. So if you really want to defeat them, you must conquer the midfield. Now, what can you say about Deschamps' performance when it comes to the midfield calculation yesterday? Can you hear me? Okay, we can't hear you from here. Hello, can you hear us? Okay, I think you just try to see how you can fix your audio. And no, we can't still hear you. We can't still hear you. Maybe you cut and then rejoin us and try to work on your and okay, Pooja, let's go to you, Pooja. Pooja, now let's talk about something why Wada tries to fix his audio. Pooja, now let's talk something very, very interesting around, N'Golo Kante, because I want to also talk about someone else in that particular team, in the Spanish team also for me yesterday. That is Cucurella. But let's talk about N'Golo Kante first of all. Now, some critics believe that N'Golo Kante would have had a effective role to play in that game yesterday. Now, do you think N'Golo Kante would have had that maybe because the French team needed a player to hold the ball at least and distribute, hold the ball at least to stop the possession from the Spanish team? Now, do you believe that N'Golo Kante would have had a chance to maybe do something different for France yesterday?
I believe you could have done, a bit better because, like Mbappe said after the game, he said they were pressing 2-for-3 instead of 3-for-3. And then for Kante, we know him for the pressing, for his energy. And I will not fault Deschamps because I don't think Kante is tournament fit. He has not played a single game at this World Cup. And for him to just come all the way and start against the Spanish side, who have had a very good World Cup, conceding just one goal, and of course getting 70% of possession, will be very difficult for him to contain. I think it will be very strenuous for Kante. But I know that if Kante have been playing in a couple of games and he come on or he started the game against Spain, it will have a good effect because they needed to track down, they needed to press very well yesterday because fully well that Spain will keep possession, they will do the pass and pass and pass, the tiki-taka, and that's what they did yesterday. So I believe you could have done well, but unfortunately, I don't think it's tournament fit to start that game of magnitude. Unfortunately, Deschamps, dropped Kone, Manu Kone for Tchouaméni, which I think was what got far, because you can't start, Kone back to back in games, and all of a sudden you drop him against Spain and you start Tchouaméni, who has not really been a big player in this tournament. So for Deschamps, it was unstable. It was his fault, and unfortunately for Kante, I don't think he's tournament fit to start that game against Spain.
Let's talk about maybe starting or come as a substitute. Now let's talk about one particular player, Cucurella, who did so well yesterday and getting all the praise. And Chelsea fans are biting their thing. Like, how did we allow this guy go? But Cucurella had a very great game here. Let's talk about Cucurella and his performance yesterday.
Cucurella, he has done it. Remember what he did at Euros as well. He was one of the best players for Spain at the Euros as well. And even from the start of the Euros, it was like if they win the Euros, it's going to die his head. That shows the kind of mentality Cucurella has. And we saw him again last season. Saw him in the Club World Cup with Chelsea. And moving to Real Madrid is just a bonus for him, because he will always move to that big club because of his performance. And yesterday he showed that all what he has been doing is not fluke. And like I tweeted, um, Cucurella is a proper Jose Mourinho kind of player. Mentality wise is there, talent wise is there, and of course leadership wise is there. So he tick all the boxes for Jose Mourinho, and he tick all the boxes for Spain as well. Look at the last minute clearance from Mbappe. That means he knows what he's doing, and for you to tame Mbappe at that level, for you to tame a player that have scored 8 goals, 2 assists at the World Cup, who scored over well over 40 goals throughout the season, shows that you know what you are doing. And if you're playing alongside Mbappe at Real Madrid, imagine the kind of strikers he's going to play with will not be at that level of Mbappe. So I hope he performs at Real Madrid, and of course continue to do well at this World Cup, because for me I think he's the best left back at this tournament.
Okay, now talk about the best left back in the tournament. And some people are still arguing that he's the best left back currently in the world right now. That is a debate whether he's the best, right? But let's leave that. Now let's talk about the Spanish team and let's compare them to the 2010 World Cup winning team, where we had the likes of Xavi, Busquets, and everything. Now if you want to win the World Cup, you must have the quality, right? Because you play with the best team in the final. Now, does this particular team compare to what we saw? Because we had Iniesta, we had Xavi, we had everybody that were there back then. Do you think we can compare this particular team with that team and they can get to the World Cup, meet Argentina or meet England and win them?
Well, to all due respect to this particular squad, I think let's give them their flowers. They've done well, couple of ups and downs, but they've done well. They won the Unity, the league, and they won the Euros, and of course they're on the verge of winning the World Cup. Let's give them their flowers. But if you talk about the last team in 2010 that won the World Cup, I don't think they can measure up. Do have the likes of that midfield was the midfield that won the treble. Won the treble. For Pep Guardiola for Barcelona. That team went away to win back-to-back Euros and of course the World Cup. So you can't take anything away from that team. The Busquets, the Xavi, the Iniesta, the David Villa, those players then was above. The Casillas of this world, the Sergio Ramos, the Puyol, they are up there, and of course what they did at their club side as well was good. But this time you have, different kind of players. Lami Yamal from Barcelona. In the midfield, we have Rodri. We have Barcelona guy from Olmo. So they have different kind of players. But if you look at the last team, they have proper players moving from the league to the national team. Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets play for the club. They won the treble, came back, to national team, won the Euros back to back, and won the World Cup. And of course, what they have done in their career. So flowers to these guys, the Rodri of this world, they've done well for themselves. Nobody gave them a chance. I think they are like third team of the fourth favorite team to win the World Cup based on FIFA ranking. But what they've done at this World Cup, conceding just one goal and keeping possession over 70% against anything they played this season, at the World Cup is a big one for them. So if they go ahead to win it, I think there will be a big comparison. But for me, I believe that the last edition of the Spanish side that won it are more bigger and more experienced than this side that eventually could win it on Sunday.
I'm talking about the experience now. Wada Jr., I'm sure your audio and video is okay right now. Let's talk about the Spanish team now. The midfield, Deshaun. For you, what mistake do you believe that? Do you think Didier Deshaun made yesterday in that game?
First of all, sorry for the technical problem from my end. What I understand from that game is overconfidence from the France coach. You know, there is this saying that defense will win you trophy while attackers will win you games. And football happened to France yesterday. To explain all this stuff, you know, before the game, a lot of people wrote Spain off, and they believe that Spain supposed to be the underdog, while France should be the favorite because of their own squad depth, basically on the attacking line. And when we saw the lineup yesterday, I saw some people complaining about the Luis Dafut dropping this guy Pedri. And what I saw from that place is the game plan, because this guy called Fabian Ruiz is very good on that midfield, based on the game plan of to overcome the game plan of France. And the man actualized his goal yesterday. Now, the major problem of France yesterday, apart from the midfield, is the defense. The team only has good attack, and their defense is not okay like that. And Spain being a very good team in every part, like all part of their the squad is very, very okay. And with that, they were able to win the game yesterday. What I understand again is the experience of the coaches. This man called Luis Dafut is the man is a tactician, and I think he brings out how good he is yesterday for the game against against France. You can see some coaches, like the game against France, when you see that this guy called Mikel Merino is very good in scoring goals, so people will rush to start them in that kind of game, and he decided to leave the guy out of the starting 11, and we saw what happened. So for me, I think the experience from the Spanish coach is what helped them yesterday.
Talk about experience from the coach, and that will be on that major talking point going into today's game between England and Argentina. Talk about the second game which we would have in the World Cup semi-final match. Now, Pooja, let's talk about this particular game that will happen where you are today, Atlanta Stadium, England, Argentina. Now, the Argentine fans are already everywhere with videos we are seeing on social media and everywhere. But Pooja, are you seeing the England thing getting to the finals to play against Spain? Now, the whole talking points around whether we want a very interesting final with maybe Argentina. I mean, we saw now talk about a Yamal and the Messi final. But look at the England team playing today, and again Argentina knowing also too that the Spanish team have qualified. Now, what would you think would be the major deciding factor in this particular game today, Pooja?
Well, I think his mentality. I think his experience. I think we've seen teams collapse when they are playing against Argentina, and that means they lack mentality, they lack the discipline to go all out to beat Spain, to beat Argentina. We've seen it against Egypt. We saw Switzerland as well. You got a goal, and you all of a sudden you are diving in the middle of the park. They're talking about Embolo, and you got a red card. So I think when it comes to playing against Argentina, you have to be 100% because they have a factor which is Messi. And I don't think you can cut Messi off because he's not going to allow you to cut him off. And he's not the person that is running everywhere, he's walking on the pitch. So if you want to dedicate one or two players to Messi, that means you destroy your backline, you destroy your formation. So I think what England have to do this evening is to be very, very aware of their environment. They should find a way to be mentally aware and push the game to the end of 90 minutes if they get a goal or if they are fighting against Argentina. Argentina have shown that they have strong mentality. They've come from goals down. they've dragged them to extra time, so they can go the length of the game for you. They can go extra time for you. They can come from a goal down. They can come from 2 goals down. They can come from even equalizing against them. So they've shown all quality at this World Cup. So for England, they've done well for themselves as well. You know, they have 2 players, Jude Bellingham and Harry Kane, who's scoring so well. And I think you know what Tuchel has to do this is just to stick with the guys he believes that would, you know, that will fight to the end for him. You know, people have been talking about Madueke. That Madueke is one of the best marking player for him. He has covered more grounds than any other English player in this tournament. So I don't see why people don't see other side of football and they just want the offensive side of football. You know, someone that is keeping the likes of Saka on the bench, and you are saying, you know, he doesn't know what he's doing. So I think Tuchel should not fall for the media rant like Deschamps did, because I don't know why Deschamps have to bench Kone for, you know, for Tchouaméni in that game against Spain. So I think it's a game of mentality, it's a game of grit, it's a game of you know, fighting spirit. I don't think Argentina have quality more than England. They don't. But what, you know, their coach have done, the Argentine coach have done, is to find a way to bring Paredes into the game. He has started him back to back in games as well, because he wants to make that midfield to be stronger. So that's a very key um, initiative from, you know, from the Argentine coach. Now imagine you now drop him against England because of what the media is saying, because he's not the guy that will give you the passes. He's doing the clearing and forwarding like Rodri, and he has been doing well in back-to-back games. So I think for me, it's a game of mentality, it's a game of discipline. Any little distraction from England will cost them against an Argentine team who I think they are the most experienced side at this tournament, and they have someone who is the greatest of all time, talking about Lionel Messi, in that team. That is an X factor. So for me, I believe when it comes to fighting to the end and mentality, I think that is what will win the game for both sides.
Talk about the mentality. Now, Wada Jr., one of the major talking points around the Argentine team will be the fact that they cannot keep their post closed. Now, you look at them when they played against Cape Verde, they had 3 goals coming. They had about 3 goals coming in. Look at when they played against Egypt, when they played against Switzerland. So they have this challenge of not being able to keep their post safe. Now, you have a man who is scoring several goals from his club side now for his country, Harry Kane. We have Jude Bellingham in the midfield and everything. Yes, the saving grace of Argentina is the fact that, okay, they scored them and they're being able to score goals. Now, do you think the Argentine team defensively can be able to hold the threat that comes from Jude Bellingham and possibly comes from Harry Kane today in this particular semi-final game?
You know, football is unpredictable. These 2 teams today are teams that are supposed to bang goals, but it might end up goalless in full time. I think I heard Gary Neville saying from the defense of the Argentine team, he believed that they are going to score 2 goals. The problem is, I understand that England can score 2 goals, but the problem is, can they keep those 2 goals without conceding 2 goals? That is one. Then, I see this game as game between 2 most equal teams since the beginning of this tournament. Like the game between Spain and France, I tip France as the favorite of the game. But this one is a game between 2 most equal teams. Argentina is a very good team without Lionel Messi, and they are a better team with Lionel Messi. In the same vein, these people, England, they have qualities on all the position on the pitch, defensive-wise, midfield-wise, and attacking-wise. Even on paper, they are very strong on paper than on how they used to play. Now, going into this game today, I see the game as one of the most difficult games to predict. And this is where experience and be conscious of yourself and be conscious of your environment to need to take place. Because this Argentina have shown several times that even with 2-0 down against Egypt is not enough for them to be eliminated from this competition. They proved themselves by winning 3-2. Now, there are other instances too against strong teams like Cape Verde. We all underrated Cape Verde. We thought that it was a miracle for them to win Spain, for them to have a draw with Spain. But Cape Verde proved themselves against Argentina that they are good scoring team. Now, this game today, Argentina also need to be careful on their own part, because England is a very good team as well, because if you check, they have come from behind twice in this knockout stage. I think against Norway, against DR Congo. So checking these two teams, both of them are aware of what they are aware of, how to do remontada. Let me use the word remontada to do the comeback. So the game today is not going to be easy, but I know that the team that we play with being conscious that it is until it is over, if not it is not over, that is going to win the game. Like any of the two teams winning like 2-0, if the other one give up on time, like if one of the teams is winning like 2-0, I still believe that the other one can still come back to end the game like 2-2 into extra time, or even win the game. But if anybody winning and feel like, okay, so I want to rephrase the words, if any of the two teams find themselves like maybe they are losing 1-0 or 2-0 and give up, that is when it will be tough for them. But I believe these two guys have shown that even if they are losing 2-0, they still have this mentality and believe that they are going to do comeback, and successfully they have done it in the time past. So it makes this game to become one of the most difficult games of this competition. And historically, these two teams met, I think, in the year 1986, and it was not an easy game for both of them. And that game, till today, it looked like something that happened yesterday. So they know what is at stake in this game. So all those things is going to be played in this game. The two teams are going to play like with everything. All the players, I think they grew up while they tell them all the whole story. And for them today, the game is not going to be easy for both teams. Now, experience-wise, Argentina is a team that have the greatest player of all time. Now, this man can decide game at any time. Then, this England, they have Jude Bellingham in the team, and the guy is trying to do the same thing as well. So the game I see it as one of the most balanced game, a game that is unpredictable is unpredictable. Let me just put it that way. It's unpredictable.
Talk about history and this particular game, you look back at 1986, Diego Maradona's popular hand of God goal in that quarterfinal game, and that is one of the most controversial goal in football history that we would always keep talking about. And the popular so this game goes back to history, 1986, and you build it from Diego Maradona's goal that is very controversial. It's still controversial because that was not meant to be a goal, but that became a historical goal. Now, Wada Jr., who would you want to play in the final between the two teams? Which team would you believe would come with this very, very interesting game in the final?
To be honest, I really want to see the Euro 2024 repeat itself. To be honest, I want to see England in the final. To be honest, I know Argentina have tried. They have the squad capable of winning this game. Spain against England, to be honest, because what happened in the Euro final, I think England deserved to win that game.
And we've lost Wada Jr. Now, Pooja, now tell me from your own perspective, who do you now? We didn't have Spain waiting for 19th on Sunday. Now, Pooja, tell me which particular between Argentina and England, who do you think will give us? Because forget everything, we want good football, right? But we want that game that will be also very, very interesting. Now, which of these teams do you think will give us that interesting finals? Don't forget that the finals means a lot. We are all football journalists. We love interesting games. We forget who you like, whether you like Messi or you like Bellingham, but which particular country, which particular team between Argentina and France will give us that interesting final against Spain?
If wishes were us, I think everybody will have one. For FIFA, I think they want maybe an Mbappe versus Messi. That's the biggest stars still left at this World Cup before the game yesterday. But unfortunately, there is no France anymore, and now there's Lamine Yamal. And remember, Messi and Lamine Yamal share so many history together. They are both from the La Masia. Messi was one of the one that did, chat bats for Lamine Yamal. The pictures are everywhere. So the history, and of course, Barcelona too, as a big club, will be in the reckoning as well. In terms of conversation. But if you look on the other side as well, you're talking about an English team who has one of the biggest media space in the world. They have the commercial side of it, they have the entertainment part of it, and they have the conversational part of it. And the story they've been building for the past how many years now? Since 1966, talking about a major trophy coming home, and the coming home has been one of the biggest slogan in football in recent times. So for FIFA, they want that kind of story that will blow the internet away. On the final day, remember there's a halftime show at the World Cup in New Jersey, New York. So, you want two teams that have that kind of conversation, reaction, engagement to be in the final. But of course, football will not give you that, because like I said, if wishes were horses, everybody will have one. So, but we just want a good game in this evening against Argentina and England. I feel like we are going to see two teams that really want to be in the final. For Argentina, it will be history for them again, getting to the final back to back, and of course for England as well, it will show like their football is on a good trajectory. Remember, they got to the final in 2004, talking about the Euros. So the Euros final and against the World Cup final will be a repeat of itself if Spain and England get to the final. But for me, I believe I want to see Messi versus Lamine Yamal. That means we have the leader of football and the heir to the leader of the football, talking about Lamine Yamal. So for me, I believe that Argentina being the final will be a good story in terms of conversation for that. What I've discussed, Lamine Yamal against Messi will be good for me.
And Pooja, you keep on saying something, something, something. FIFA would love, FIFA would love, FIFA would love. Please, Pooja, is there a FIFA agenda we're not aware of?
No. What I'm no, there's no FIFA agenda. What I'm saying is, for me for me coming to this World Cup too, I love to have all sponsors. It's wishes. I love to have all the benefits. I love to go to all the World Cup ground. I love to be in Dallas yesterday for the game against Spain and France. I couldn't be there. So you can all just wish. I wish to work for Sky Sports. I wish to work for, the biggest players in the world. So, wishes are, like I said, wishes are horses. Wishes are just like horses. Nobody, you can wish it at any time you want. So for FIFA as well, if you're a businessman, you always want the good things to come your way or the good conversation to come your way or engagement, just like Atlantic TV as well. Who doesn't want their journalists to be at the World Cup and to be in the news for the good things? So it's just like that. So there's no agenda. No, FIFA is not doing anything on the field of play. Everything that is transfer is based on human error and is based on emotions. I don't think FIFA will call referees, officials, and even countries to one corner and tell them, okay, you guys have to lose, you guys have to give penalty, you guys know. I don't think that's going on. I don't think that's just theories, nonsense theories. But like I said, everybody wish for good things to happen. And like I said, FIFA will always want a good story, for finals. But at the end of the day, football will always give you what it will give you.
Now, let me go to Wada Jr. on the final note. Is there a FIFA agenda? Is the World Cup scripted according to some football? I don't want to call them Gen Zs, but is World Cup scripted for you? Is the World Cup scripted?
How can World Cup even be scripted? How can World Cup be scripted? If World Cup can be scripted, FIFA would love to see Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo in the final. Although, like Pooja said, FIFA will have his wish to see these things happen. He will love to see these things happen. The things that will generate them more money in the final. They will have their wish, but to say these things are scripted, I don't think so. The FIFA president will love to see person like Lamine Yamal and Lionel Messi in the final. But to say they scripted all this stuff so that it will happen, I don't think so. Some people complain that they scripted the 2022 World Cup in favor of Argentina. If you check all this stuff, the final match between Argentina and France, you can see when Colomani have one very big chance. Everybody thought that it is end from that place. But Emiliano Martinez catch the ball. Did FIFA hold the leg of this, what is his name? Colomani? Now, this ongoing World Cup now, Lionel Messi that people have been saying that he used to score only penalty. He has not scored only a single penalty in this tournament, and he missed two. Yet he's the highest goal scorer. He's one of nobody scored more than him in this competition, and he still have more chance of even scoring more. So how can we say this thing is scripted? If you check all these games, everything happened to be plain. The only area I understand that people are using to judge all this stuff is because there is no way officiating can be 100% clean. Like, there is no way. I've seen matches where, even in Premier League, La Liga, all these clubs are complaining about all the activities that are happening. That some people, they used to favor some people at the expense of other people. I've seen a situation whereby Lisandro Martinez of Man United touched this guy hair, Calvin Lewin, Abi. Then next week, this same guy pull another person hair. Something that they drive another, they awarded another person for red card for another person. His own, he was not awarded red card. So all these things do happen. But when it happens against a particular team people don't like, most especially like Argentina in this competition, people will be thinking like they have scripted the stuff already. For me, those people that used to say they scripted the competition in favor of Argentina, I will say just go and sell your properties and bet on Argentina to win. There is nothing like scripted in this competition. What happens, happens. Like yesterday, I see these the champs complaining of the officiating of the game, saying the referee, if he has the level to officiate in the semi-final of the of FIFA World Cup, the same man that a player like Michael is supposed to be sent off. So if you check these things, people must complain. But for me, there is nothing like scripted in this place. But I know that the organizers of this, the FIFA president and the organizers, they definitely want to see some people in the final. But football will always be football. Nobody can predict it.
All right, thank you very much, Wada Jr. Thank you very much, Pooja. Pooja, I know you have to get ready for the big clash between Argentina and England that will take place in Atlanta. Of course, you need to go in and get your accreditation and everything. Thank you. Of course, you will join us on the show on Friday where we'll talk around the big stories. Thank you very much, Wada Jr. from Abuja, and thank you, Pooja, who joins us all the way from Atlanta. That is Atlantic TV correspondent covering the FIFA World Cup and following up all the biggest updates on how things are happening. All right, let's look at what is trending on the show today. Oh, I love the trending part. And this is in Atlanta where they are looking up for the game today, and this particular video is one video I've got many people talking. Messi in the middle of everything, and come on, they can't wait to have Messi play this evening. That's the major talking point. And someone said, hey, this is AI, but this is beautiful. It's a way to celebrate Messi. So the question will Messi get to the finals of the World Cup, or he will play a top place match against France? Some will say, let's have a repeat of the top place match, which will now be the finals of 2022 that happened in Qatar. But Messi will be one man the whole world will look at today, and everybody will be expecting the Messi magic in the game against England. And many English fans will ask the big question, is it coming home? Since 1966, that was the last time the English